Hello, everybody. This is Ed Rigsbee. I am the executive director of the Cigar Plague Philanthropy Through Fund. As you know, we do a showcase every couple months.
Progress.
All of the people in the showcase, they will become nominees for the 2022 Virtual Speakers Hall of Fame. And you will get an opportunity to vote at the end of the year. After the last showcase in November, everybody will get a vote based on your email address. So also, if anybody's going to be at ASAE this summer in Nashville, just to let you know, the Cigar Peg will be there. We will have a booth for the Virtual Speakers Hall of Fame. All kinds of exciting stuff coming down. So let's get going. We've got 4 awesome speakers for you, and we will have a summary at the end. Let's start out. Is divorce presenteeism killing your productivity? How to use work as your respite from divorce. Judith Weigle is a divorce mitigator, paralegal, host of the Amicable Divorced Expert podcast, and creative thinker promoting amicable divorce. Now, I don't know anything about that because I've been married almost 50 years, but I'm sure some of you do. Her trademark approach is found in her recipe for a heart-healthy divorce. Judy is sharing her knowledge with human resources professionals to aid them in decreasing lost revenue due to productivity issues with employees going through divorce. I give you Judith Weigle. There we go.
I have good news and I have bad news. Let's do the bad news first. There is an emerging crisis in corporate America, a silent killer called presenteeism. Presenteeism means that employees are at work, but unproductive. They are there, but mentally checked out. Presenteeism is called a silent killer because it lacks the obvious signs that absenteeism has. Yet the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, projected that presenteeism costs U.S. corporations $225 billion a year in lost revenue. That ain't lunch money. But as the colorful Senator Everett Dirksen purportedly said, $1 billion here, $1 billion there, pretty soon it adds up to real money. The good news is it's solvable. Presenteeism has 2 causes. One is chronic physical pain. I can't do anything about that. And chronic emotional pain. I can do something about that because divorce is one of the biggest causes of emotional pain. 50% of first marriages, 60% of second marriages, and 70% of third marriages end in divorce. That means that at any given time, your employees are going through divorce, depressed at your company, costing you money. I can help you with that because of my 10 years as a divorce mediator and paralegal. But first, I want to share with you 2 events that occurred simultaneously that brought me to the topic of presenteeism. Event number 1. I was on the phone one day with one of my mediation clients, and she was telling me how stressed and depressed she was. She was at work while we were talking. It was at that moment that I had my first epiphany. I'm a cause of presenteeism. I'm at work, and my employees are too, using their work time to answer my text messages, my phone calls, my emails, and my paperwork. As she was with every other divorce professional on her team, lawyers, paralegals, divorce coaches, therapists, and possibly fielding angry text messages from her spouse, and that'll take anybody's focus off of work. Concurrently, I was asked to speak to an audience of mental health professionals at the Zero Mental Health Symposium. Their theme, exploring the family construct. My topic, recipe for a heart-healthy divorce. 4 ingredients. Go through the emotional divorce before the legal divorce if you can. Learn communication skills for high conflict situations. You're gonna need them. Develop a self-care program that includes laughter. Nobody ever thinks of that. And compartmentalize time so you can use work as your respite. As I was writing my speech, I had a second epiphany. We have 2 families. We have our work family and we have our personal family. Both families need focus and attention to operate productively. So how do you know who's going through divorce at your company? Well, it's written all over their faces. They look stressed. They look worried. They can become irritable. There can be a significant weight loss or gain, and definitely their language skills are compromised. But you can't go up to them and say, dang, you look horrible. Are you going through divorce? No, you can't do that. But the answer does lie within the Human Resources Department, health insurance and pensions. When I first meet with mediation clients, I suggest to them that they go to the Human Resources Department and let them know that a divorce has been filed for. And then, of course, circle back, because when it's finalized, you have the pension and the health insurance to revise. That's how your company knows through human resources at any time the employees going through divorce who are going to need your help and support for work-life balance. Now that you know who the employees are, return them to productivity. Let's take compartmentalizing time, one of the ingredients in the heart-healthy divorce. The purpose of compartmentalizing time is to allow work to be the respite from divorce. The concept of compartmentalizing time, though, is foreign to us in our culture. We are so used to mixing personal and work together. Pre-pandemic, we brought our work home and our personal lives to work. During the pandemic, we worked from home, blurring every line between work and business and working from the scene of the crumbling marriage. But it doesn't matter where the employees are working. All they have to do is tell the divorce team that all replies will be made outside of work time. The heart-healthy result of that is that instead of living the divorce morning, noon, and night, you know that can happen, especially if you've been through divorce. Compartmentalizing time will allow the divorcing individual to breathe, to create balance, to return energy and thought to their jobs because they've made work their respite from divorce. Now, you already have some of the resources in your departments for the ingredients to the heart-healthy divorce. You have lists of therapists, lawyers, coaches, you have self-care programs. You just need somebody to pull it all together for you. I can do that, or I can train somebody in your state who, like me, works on the legal side of the divorce as a paralegal and the emotional side of divorce as a mediator, to meet with the employees at designated times during the month, lunch hour, bona fide time off of work, to teach them to confidently compartmentalize time so they can return their focus to work, manage the communication with their divorce team, respond to those angry text messages in its own time, and be present for both families. Invest in your employees in this most stressful time in their lives, and they will invest in you. The return on investment to employers is returning the employee to productivity by addressing the stress, providing a remedy, changing their focus back to work, and decreasing the loss in revenue from presenteeism. Yes, work can be a welcome respite from divorce. And you, the good folks in human resources, have the power to make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. That was awesome. Hey, I had never really looked at divorce and how it affects somebody's productivity or lack of. Very, very insightful. Thank you very much. Now we have to move on to our next speaker, Jeremy Torisk. He guarantees he can find any business 50,000 to 100,000 in revenue and increase profit and do it in just an hour. Interesting promise. He does this by examining 12 core business elements that make up almost any business. He is here to tell us how he helps companies and organizations, no matter the size, to leverage business elements. I give you Jeremy Torisk.
Everybody, thanks for having me here today. And what if I were to ask you how many businesses you think could be broken down into just 12 fundamental elements? What if I said any business could be broken down into these elements and they could have exponential growth through compounding results with very little money by focusing on just a few of these elements a little at a time? Now, most people understand compound interest and how it works. You invest a little money into something like a 401k or mutual fund, and you do this consistently over a period of time. Compound interest does the rest. It's such a powerful principle that Albert Einstein even called it the eighth wonder of the world. Now, with just a little time, energy, and focus, by the way, did you actually hear me say anything about money? No, you didn't. With just a little time, energy, and focus invested consistently and purposefully across just a few of these elements, companies can experience exponential growth through compounding results. So what are these 12 elements, and why do so many businesses ignore them then? Well, we have to go back to why most people start a business in the first place. It's usually because a particular skill that they have a passion for, and they apply that skill better than most other people. These talents or insights usually get them pretty far, but eventually, if they depend on that one element to grow their business, they will hit a critical mass and the business will fail. Now, nobody enjoys investing time, energy, and focus on parts of a business they have no interest in or have little knowledge of. We all know this, but it's a crucial, critical mistake. And it's the number one reason why small businesses fail and stop having money, cash flow, as they begin to expand. As we all know, cash flow is the number one reason why small businesses fail, especially within the first 3 years. So if money is the key to keeping your business, well, in business, then how can understanding focusing on some of these core elements generate cash flow? And what are these 12 elements? Well, let's go through them very quickly here because I want to focus on one critical one. It all starts with people. Second one is having clarity, knowing what your principles are. Effective marketing is a third element. World-class communication, having quality leads, of course, understanding that sales equals serving, forging alliances and joint ventures, having a robust back end, knowing when to increase or decrease your prices, and having the whole organization know their numbers. 11 is supporting continuous training, the 1% rule. And finally, but not least important, is 12, ROR, which is not ROI. This is called return on relationships. So, who can honestly tell me that they always place focus and energy into every one of these elements? Not many can. Who could argue that by doing so would not have amazing results on their business? Not many would. Today, I want to focus on one of these elements, and I want to do so because almost every single business does this completely wrong. And it's so easy to fix. It's the marketing element. Imagine you sign up for a dating app. You scroll and scroll, and you swipe left, and you swipe right, and you strike up a conversation with someone, and you decide to give it a try. You set up a coffee meeting, and you arrive to meet your new connection, and they ask you to decide today. You're thinking, decide what today? Well, you see, I have a lot of other people who are interested in me, so if you want to have me, you need to marry me right now. And here comes the justice of the peace out of the bathroom from Starbucks. Like Forrest Gump, I would be running. So why do we do this in our marketing? and on all over our websites. Buy now, act today. We have the best deals around. This is what every single person does. This is what every website says. And this is what every one of your competitors are doing. This is the language that make buyers act on one thing: price. This is also the way to capture your share of just 3% of the market who are ready to buy right now. But what about the others? You know, the other 97% of the market who are prospective buyers but aren't ready to buy this moment. Well, here's where we employ the conversion equation. I teach my business owners to appeal to the ones who are not yet ready to buy right now, but who are interested in learning more. Then you become a trusted advisor instead of a salesperson. It's done in 4 easy parts. Number 1, get their attention. The headline. This is designed to get people's attention. Many of you don't even know you're interested in something until you read a headline and then you go, "Oh, that piqued my interest." Now that you have their attention, you must, 2, provide some information. By offering some information, you're completing that circuit that the brain desperately wants completed. Provide them a list maybe of the top 10 things that could be a particular problem mentioned in the headline. But maybe this also creates questions in their minds. It's the perfect opportunity to 3, educate them over time. Over a series of messages, you're going to break down those 10 things and send them messages and go deeper on them. Offer the benefits and features, and you're going to end up answering their questions before they can even think of them as objections. And then 4, always have a risk-free and irresistible offer. Doing this, you will stand out from your competition and you will sell on value instead of price. This will result in a healthy, effective sales funnel, which will produce compounding interest, compounding results over time. See, when you stop trying to depend on what you do best, have that do all the heavy lifting, and you start making small but consistent improvements along these other elements, you will experience compounding results through exponential growth. If you'd like to learn more about me, please contact me through LinkedIn. Write the word book, and I'll send you a free copy of the Business Treasure Hunter. And I'm easy to find. My last name is spelt Torisk, but you risk nothing when you work with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate that. You know, Jeremy, my guess is that a whole lot of association executives watching this will think about, yes, I think my members need this. Thank you so much. I want to move into our third speaker. I want to introduce you to Jacob Aldridge. And if you listen to Jacob's accent, you're going to probably notice that he's not from Boston or Louisiana. Jacob Aldridge is an international best-selling author and business advisor who empowers small and medium-sized companies and their owners. He has worked with leaders and teams around the USA, as well as the United Kingdom, Asia Pacific, and yes, Australia. Right now, many business leaders are worrying about the economy. Jacob has a clear message for them. Don't waste a good recession. I give you Jacob Aldridge.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you all for investing your time to be here. Mike Tyson told us that everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. Over the last 20 years, 3 booms and 4 recessions, I've spoken to thousands of small and medium-sized business owners, and every single one of them had a plan. Now, a lot of those plans were up in their head, and a lot was sprinkled with fairy dust and moonshine, but they had a plan. Right now, inflation is high and confidence is low. Your gas bill is up and your 401k is down. Business owners across America and indeed around the world are bracing for a punch in the face. And that's the temptation. Curl up into a ball, hold still, hope for the best, survival mode. And that would be a mistake. And I'll tell you why. Because more opportunities are created in an economic downturn than at any other point in the economic cycle. If you're positive and respond practically, now is a great time to be in business, to thrive, not just survive. Now, I'm not going to do the whole survey wall today, but I do want to ask you a question. Right now, do you feel we are heading into a recession? Do you feel we are already in a recession? Or do you feel a little more optimistic that we are not actually going to have a recession at all? And while you think about that question, brace yourself. I'm going to use the F word, feelings. Because feelings drive every decision, every piece of communication that a small and medium-sized business owner delivers. When we understand the impact of feelings on them, we can support those business owners better. And one of the great impacts on the feelings of those business owners is the economic cycle. So this is the economic cycle mapped not by inflation or unemployment, but by feelings. So what was your answer to my question? Did you feel that things were going well, that we don't really have to fear a recession or a downturn? You're still feeling excited, maybe a bit thrilled with the opportunities that abound. Do you feel we're heading into a recession? Maybe we're sitting here early on the downslope. There's a bit of denial from those people who answered differently. Or do you, like me, feel that we are already in a recession? And I think we're sitting somewhere about there. There's a lot of fear and some desperation already going on, and some of those bigger emotions, panic and capitulation, are ahead of us. Except they're not ahead of all of us. Businesses respond to an economic downturn in one of three ways. Some businesses dive. They take that punch to the face, they hit the canvas, and they never get back up again. We may all be in the same stormy seas, but some business owners arrived in a leaky canoe. Many businesses will survive. They'll go down with the economy and they'll come back up with the economy. They'll still be here in 2, 3, 4 years' time. They'll still be the same business in 2, 3, 4 years' time. The third type of business, the one I want to encourage your organization, your members to be, is the one that thrives, not just survives. They're not immune to this. They still take some blows, but they respond. They invest, they grab the brand awareness, the market share opportunities that are being created right now. And that means that they grow not just during a recession, but in the future for the good times that will surely follow. Dive, survive, thrive. These are the choices that are in front of you. And if you're curious about where your organization is placed, how ready are you to embrace a good recession? You can head to my website, download some resources, and do the free quiz, jacobaldridge.com/showcase. Now, if you work with a lot of other businesses as clients, as suppliers, or as members, you probably want to know from a distance, how can I tell? If I'm talking to a CEO, are they going to dive, survive, or thrive? What's the difference? And the difference is how they respond emotionally and how they respond strategically. The dive business owners ignore their emotions. They bury their head in the sand and they stop investing in the future, which is why they have a limited future. The survive business owners, they react to their emotions. The good days are good, the bad days are really bad. And I call their investment strategy down low, too slow. They wait for the upturn to invest in the upturn, wait for growth to invest in creating growth. And that's why they never get ahead of the economic cycle. The Thrive business owner still feels those feelings. They have the self-awareness to acknowledge them, not get caught up in them. And strategically, they continue to invest ongoing. What they're investing in today is probably different to what they thought about 6 months ago, but they keep looking for those opportunities. I want to give you one key thing today, and that is this. In troubling economic times, you need to overcome the noise. And there is so much noise in a recession. Whether it's 24-hour cable news, whether it's doom scrolling on social media, there is so much noise, and you need an anchor. You need that North Star to guide you. And that guide is your business intuition. Now, not all the noise is bad. All of that training and thinking and education you do feeds your intuition. All the feelings and emotions you have feeds your intuition. Your greatest mistakes and your greatest triumphs feed your intuition. In troubling times, that's when you need to tap into your intuition and not let it get overwhelmed by noise. And I can give you so much noise. I can share with you the 5 key mistakes that SMEs make in a downturn. The 4 transformations that differentiate the Thrive businesses from the rest. I can walk you through the 10 key strategies that recession-proof any business. And I can talk about the network a business owner needs in hard times and how critical an association membership is to that individual. And for some business owners, that's the noise they need right now. But for you today, I just want you to take that one thing. You have that intuition, and now you need to listen to it. And I want to give you an example before I wrap up of a business owner who did exactly that, who tapped into her intuition to make a difference. This is Ruth Wakefield. In 1938, she was in the second recession of the Great Depression. Just when they thought they'd got out, it pulled them back in, which sounds kind of familiar for today. Ruth and her husband owned the Toll House Inn in Massachusetts, and they owned the Toll House Restaurant, which was known for its lobster dinners and its fine desserts. Hardly a recession-proof business. When the recession hit, Ruth asked herself, where is the opportunity? She drew on her culinary training and her business intuition, and she did this. She invented the Toll House cookie. The Toll House cookie was novel, it was new, it was a reason to go and make a purchase. It was small, it could be purchased as a very affordable product. It was transportable, you didn't have to come and sit down and have a whole dinner to make the most of this opportunity. And most importantly, the Toll House cookie didn't need a chef with Ruth's training. It could be made by housewives and potentially in 1938, some house husbands all across America. And it was that portability that led to Nestle buying the recipe to the Toll House cookie off of Ruth Wakefield. Not a bad financial outcome for the Great Depression. What is your intuition telling you about the opportunity that's presenting itself? Where can you thrive, not just survive? And when I get the sugar rush out of my nose, if you want to know where to start, remember jacobaldridge.com/showcase, because Mike Tyson took a lot of punches to the face and still became world champion. Ruth Wakefield faced a recession and showed us all that if you react positively and know practically what to do, the outcome can be pretty sweet. I want to make sure you respond positively. Don't waste a good recession. And I don't know about you, Ed, but that looks a little bit like Evander Holyfield's ear. So I'm going to throw back to you.
Thank you, Jacob. I appreciate that. You know, Jacob, it's really interesting to get a non-American and international perspective on how the U.S. can do business. Okay, so as I'm taking a look here, let's see. Looks like we're having an interesting technical thing going on here. There we go. Kind of maybe. Let me. Okay, we are back. Awesome. Can't believe it's actually happening. Hey, again, Jacob, thank you very much. And go ahead and send a box of those Toll House cookies to my address, which is conveniently at the bottom of my website. Now, for our fourth speaker of the morning, I would like to introduce you to Dr. Erika Jacobi. She is the managing director of Emcee Global, a business transformation consultancy with offices in New York City and Munich, Germany. Having led large-scale organizational change in corporations around the world, Erika is here today to discuss one of the most crucial skills of our times, the ability to adapt to unforeseen circumstances and learn from the future. I give you Dr. Erika Jacobi.
Have you watched The Alpinist? The Alpinist is a Netflix documentary following Marc-André Leclerc in his daredevil ascents of some of the most deadly mountains of the world. And that entirely solo, without any gear and without a rope, just dangling over an abyss with nothing but his skills and his hands. Well, I watched the Netflix documentary 3 times. Each and every time I was pumped up with adrenaline from just watching that young gentleman climb up there. It was incredible. And I was beginning to wonder, what can we learn from his mindset and from his skill set? Because he clearly had mastered the really important skill of adapting to unforeseen circumstances and functioning very, very well and thriving under ever-changing circumstances. In my opinion, adaptive leadership is one of the most important, what I call future fit leadership skills. And in my experience as a human and organizational behavior specialist, we need those skills. So what can we learn from a free solo climber about adaptive leadership? Well, I would like to share 3 short points, 3 short lessons of an adaptive leader. Number 1, cherish change and cherish adversity and use it as an opportunity to improve your own skills and those of your organization. Number 2, stay fully present, be in the moment, and apply a disciplined analysis. Number 3 might be a little bit counterintuitive. Learn from the future as it emerges, a concept by Otto Scharmer. Now, what do I mean by these 3 traits? Let's start all over again. Number 1, cherish change, cherish adversity, and use it as an opportunity to improve your skills. Marc-Andre Leclerc was always looking forward feverishly to go up there again, although he knew that any ascent and every ascent could have been his last one. But he used every climb to literally build muscles for the next one and to improve his skills. Now, as a consultant, I see a lot of companies and leaders saying, we love change, we embrace change. I just don't see as many that want to actually learn from it and improve. But that's what we need if we want to not only survive unfavorable circumstances like the pandemic or many other circumstances like a recession, we want to thrive. So we need to use this as an opportunity to improve our skills. Number 2, stay in the present, be focused, and apply a disciplined analysis of your surroundings. Marc-Andre Leclerc could have never afforded to fool himself regarding his own skills or the challenges ahead in the mountains. It would have been his death. But ladies and gentlemen, how many people and companies do we know that fool themselves? What they can deliver, by when they can deliver, how bad a crisis might be, or how great things are. And that's just not very helpful. We need to learn to have a realistic view of our surroundings and an honest analysis. And then again, you know it, learn from it and increase processes in your organization to learn from everything that we go through. Number 3, the somewhat counterintuitive one, learn from the future as it emerges. Marc-Andre Leclerc could never fully plan all his ascents. He was out there and up there sometimes for days. And the weather would change, and very, very often everything was icy anyway, so it was really not very favorable. Dangling up there, he would really have to learn from what's ahead and not worry about the past. And learning from the past was over at that time anyways. He needed to see what's ahead and learn in the moment to be able to master the future before it's even only there. And that's exactly the business skill that we also need for the next crisis and the next crisis and the next crisis. We need to set our businesses up and prepare our leaders to be able to foresee and envision what the future will be like so that we can prepare our businesses to not only survive, but thrive in the future before it has even only happened. Now, I know that you're about to go back to your desk pretty soon, and I'm asking you, going back to your offices, which change do you want to make today to become a more adaptive leader, a more prepared leader? Because I can guarantee you, in today's world, in today's business world, you will have to adapt to the mountain. Guess what? The mountain is not going to adapt to you. So make that choice, plan ahead. What do you want to change in your leadership? Don't ask others to change. What do you want to change today? Sadly, Marc-Andre Leclerc died in his probably easiest climb. He had a rope, he had gear, he was accompanied by a friend. But the leadership lessons that we can learn from someone who had mastered the art of adapting to extremely deadly and challenging times are leadership lessons that we're well advised to also adopt so that we can also go literally above and beyond. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Erika. I appreciate that. That was very fascinating as far as looking at our challenges and how to look to the future for solutions. Next, I want to bring on the professional summarizer. Actually, the only professional summarizer in the whole world. Dale Irvin has a very unique, and I use the word unique, he has a unique talent of attending the association or society meetings, taking notes at the general sessions, and then giving a summary back to the attendees in a humorous way, which actually drives the attendees to stay to the whole meeting because, quite frankly, they want to hear what Dale Irvin has to say. Dale, take it away.
Thank you very much, Ed, and thank all of you folks who are listening. What I try to do is to solve a big problem for association meetings because you go to a lot of trouble to get real good speakers, but you want to make sure the audience remembers what they told them. That's where I come in. At the end of each meeting, I do a summary of what everybody has just heard in the form of a comedy monologue that I've just written. That being said, here's what I came up with for today's speakers. First of all, we heard from Judith, who said that we need to use work as a respite from divorce, and mentioned amicable divorce, which I believe is like friendly fire. She talked about presenteeism, where the workers show up, but they don't do anything. This is known as Congress, you know. And then she talked about working through both physical pain and emotional pain. Said divorce is 50% of first-time marriages end in divorce. And I explained this to my now son-in-law when he asked to marry my daughter. And I explained the 50% rule while I was cleaning my 30-30. So he got that in just as a matter of the numbers. Personally, I've been married quite some time. On my 25th anniversary, I took my wife to Italy. And pretty soon we'll be having our 50th anniversary, and I'm going to go pick her up. So that's a beautiful thing right there. She talked about a healthy divorce, because in a divorce, your heart is going to get ripped out and stomped on. So you might want to try and make that better. And said use self-care through laughter at a divorce. This is going to cost me what? And then finally, to address the stress, and the remedy is to tell them all to basically get over it and get back to work. That brings us to our second speaker, Jeremy Torisk, who said he can find any business $100,000 in an hour, or as long as it takes you to go out and buy a lottery ticket. He mentioned 12 fundamental elements. First of all, compound interest. I didn't know this. Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. If so, where's its monument? You know, we got that arch in St. Louis, which I guess is a monument to the stock market. Goes up and comes back down. I want an interest to compound, or a monument for compound interest that gets a little bit bigger every year. He said cash flow is the number one reason businesses fail, and I can certainly understand that. You run out of cash and you're up the creek. And he said marketing is like a dating app where the justice of the peace is hiding in the bathroom. I don't know what that means, but I found it funny. Eventually, so to reach your clients, I would suggest hiding in the bathroom. They're going to have to be in there sometime. So finally, The 4 points he left us with is first, get attention, get the client's attention. If you're hiding in the bathroom, a simple boo will get their attention. Then get their information, educate them, and give them a risk-free, irresistible offer such as, would you like a towel? All right, next we heard from Jacob Aldridge in Australia. It says everyone has a plan, or Mike Tyson said everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. And then the plan is to bite the other guy's ear off. So that's not really good. And he said, how many people feel we are heading into a recession? How many people feel we are already in a recession? Personally, I feel as though we're all in a handbasket. And we know where that's going. I mean, my 401k, you mentioned 401k, is now a 300G, so I don't even know what that's going to mean. And then he said you have to dive, survive, and thrive, then jive to stay alive. I just threw in that little poetry. And finally talked about Ruth Wakefield, who invented the Toll House cookie in 1938, and then later went on to become Famous Amos. And then finally, we heard from Dr. Erika Jacobi, who talked to us about a movie called, I believe, The Alpinist, about a guy named Marc-Andre Leclerc, who climbs dangerous mountains without a rope and without a net, or for that matter, without any of the Mouseketeers. I'm a baby boomer. Not everybody's going to get that joke, but the ones that do are laughing. Finally, he said, let's see, he said to, first of all, cherish, or she said first, to cherish change. I do. I cherish change. The best way to find change, go through the couch cushions. That's where it all is. And I cherish every nickel that I find. Then stay in the present, unless, of course, you need a nap. And, then just dive out for a little bit and learn from the future. So you should buy a Ouija board and tarot cards, and that will tell you the future. And finally, Marc-Andre Leclerc died on his easiest climb. He was on the kitchen counter just trying to get a glass out of the top cupboard and fell over, and today he's dead. That's really a summary of everything you just heard from 4 speakers. If you would like me to do this in your particular meeting, just contact me right up here at daleirvin.com, and there'll be a button on there that says Friday Funnies. Push that, and for free, every Friday in your email, I will send you both a written and a video recap of about 4.5 minutes of the odder stories in this week's news. Other than that, I would love to work for you and help summarize your next meeting. Back to you, Ed.
Thank you, Dale. I appreciate that. As a matter of fact, Dale was just at my charity, Scarpeg Philanthropy Through Funds, big annual fundraiser, and did a hilarious monologue on update of everything that we've been dealing with through COVID. Very, very funny. And I appreciate all the work that you put into that. Well, everybody, we will be back in September with another showcase. Don't forget also, at any time, you can go to the Virtual Speakers Hall of Fame.org. You can click on the directory. All of the speakers that you heard today, their individual videos in a couple of days will be on the directory. You can find them individually if you want to re-listen or if you want to share it with your conference committee. And also that directory is searchable under speaker name and topic. And again, don't forget, we will be at ASAE this summer in Nashville. We will have a booth. We will be right next door to the Marriott International booth. So stop by and say hi. And also, we're going to have a drawing for a free virtual presentation. Thank you very much. Wish you a good day.